This is the room of Letha Wilson, who's an American artist and works in installation. And I think that, in a way, this is quite an interesting example of a site-specific project that really uses the space to create the work. And it's based on the original artichoke lamp, which is considered to be a very kind of high-class design object. And that usually costs a lot of money, and it's really kind of a sign of status. She's creating this replica of the original artichoke lamp using the walls of the space and basically carving away and taking parts from the wall in order to put this together. And what's interesting is that besides the fact that this is like a cheap, sheetrock, weird lamp with a light bulb that's probably 50 cents that she bought from the bodega down the street, it's a beautiful object. And there's something about what means do you have to create this kind of beauty and using what you have to do that. And it's interesting, a few people were asking like how much, like if I want to buy this, how much does it cost? And I think there's something that's really complete about, it's not just this object is a result of also the patterns and the work on the wall and exposing the pipes behind the walls and kind of really, taking it apart and really this strong way that she's becoming, her artwork is part of the architecture of the space now. The way he created this room, it's, just kind of a replication of this industrial, totally kind of sterile and functional ceiling that's just kind of a non-space in a way. Sound is not up, right?
Great idea. That's fun. How long is the opera?
It's like 7 minutes long.
Are you performing it tonight also?
Yeah. I think the erasing of the identity and also the fact that the score is completely blank, just folding paper. I'm sorry.
For the last 2 weeks, I was just walking around and just looking for people who remind me, I'm not even saying look like, but remind me of my father who died about 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago.
So you just found in the street and stopped them and said...
Yes. It was interesting at the beginning, and many of them said no. Many of them didn't want. Although my father is not Chinese, there were many Chinese people who are very similar to him in different ways that I'm not going to go into details, and they all refused. And there was actually one person that I almost followed to his house because just his face was so similar, and as you can see, there was really no face here. This person, his name is Raphael, and there was something about the way he's walking, and he was wearing a suit, and his hair was very carefully combed. But also at the same time, he obviously wasn't, although he was wearing a suit, he was obviously not an upper class there was a combination, like somehow the way his hair was handled and the way he was carrying himself was with a lot of dignity, but he was carrying a lot of plastic bags, and just something about him. And I was with an assistant when I was doing that, and I talked to him. He didn't speak much English, luckily I spoke some Spanish. And he was very silent, but there was he just put his bags and he stood against the wall and took the photographs.
This is actually my room, and this year I was interested to think about home in the most essential aspect of what does it mean to occupy a space and be in a space. And I kind of took off the walls or the architectural aspect of what home is and was focusing on breathing as a way to be and to have that sense of belonging and presence. And using photographic paper, I was sitting here reading, imprinting my face on the photographic paper and basically creating this very direct mark of my breath what happens is that the vapor creates some kind of chemical reaction with the paper and leaves this kind of stain. This is the room of Paul Sepuya, and Paul is a photographer, and when he was thinking about home, his main correspondence with home actually has to do with the motherland. His father's from Uganda. For him, the fact that his father's from Uganda, but he never really visited Uganda, became like a whole question of identity and belonging. And so he created a series of portraits of people that have visited Uganda, mostly friends and people that he knows. And I think in a way it's kind of interesting to see the second-hand experience of a place of origin.
And did he photograph the people when they were just back from Uganda?
Back in New York, in their you know, in either in their homes or in his home, but kind of more of just a intimate conversation with them.